Good morning, boys. Welcome back to the channel. Just went and picked up some CVs for the swap. Good old import direct 02 to 06 RSX Type S. We'll see what we can do. So to catch you guys up to speed, if you've missed the last video or two, motor is hard mounted in the car. Motor mounts are done. The T case is in with a steering rack and with the subframe. We're using the CRV, an older CRV trans and T case with a 2019 CRV front subframe and steering rack, K24 out of a TSX. And now it's time to move on to axles. Thankfully, the lower control arm off the FK8 does bolt right on to the subframe out of the 2019 CRV. So thankfully, we are able to utilize all of the factory FK8 suspension components, including the brakes and all that good stuff. The next thing I need to figure out is what we're gonna do for axles. So my plan is to get everything up front all finished up. All the hard stuff is out of the way. We can get custom axles built if need be, but I'm hoping we can avoid any like crazy custom stuff like that. Driveline, of course, we're gonna have to get custom made, but let's go ahead and see if these axles fit. Now these are 02 to 06 or 01 to 06 Acura TSX or RSX Type S front axles. And I know these are gonna fit into the trans, but whether or not they go into the hub of the Type R is a different story. So let's see if the splines are the same. That would be amazing. They look quite a bit smaller if I'm being honest. Oh yeah. Fits, but way too small. So we're either gonna use the stock, this is what I'm thinking, use the stock Type R axle and swap out the inner, or use the Type S axle and swap out the outer. I'm not sure which would be easier. Why does it look so much shorter? I think swapping the Type R outer onto the new inner is gonna be the best bet. Also, it does look a touch shorter, so I wanna go ahead and throw it up in the car real quick and see if it's even gonna work. Of course, there is a little bit of play, but we can't be too far off. Come on, baby. They're quite a bit too short. That ain't gonna work. Ain't no way. I guess that doesn't really matter because we'd be using the Type R, the factory length, overall length of the Type R axle anyway. So let's go ahead and pull both of these axles apart. Hopefully I can make it work. Otherwise, we're throwing money away because I can't return a torn apart axle. We can make it work. I have faith. Pull the leaky Type R one apart first. So it looks like we're definitely gonna have to get some custom axle stuff done. And I think the best option is gonna be to take our completely factory Type R CV axle and get it re-splined to fit the inner of the Type S axle. I think that's gonna be the best bet. So I need to send it in and get this re-splined to fit this tripod right here. And I think Dutchman Axles is a place that does it. Not local, but not super far. They're a state away. So hopefully we can get these done pretty quick. I'm gonna fully disassemble, make sure they are the exact length that we actually need, which I don't know why they wouldn't be, and then we can go from there. Well, you can see we have the engine and trans back out of the car with the factory Type R trans in the car, and it's looking like, and I'm gonna do better measuring here in a second because I'm gonna put the stock engine and trans back in the car, but it's looking like we are gonna have to extend the axles about 2.5 inches, at least this one side. I need to get the motor in the car as well with the half shaft on to measure out the other side. And I'm sure there's other ways to do this, but basically what I'm doing is I have the stock Type R trans in the car right now, stick my tape measure through all the way to the trans where the CV would go in, and this one's at 24 3/4. And then when I put that setup in, being that the trans is much more narrow, it's like 26.5. So I'm gonna get actual measurements before we send these axles in. But I'm glad I'm measuring now and I didn't just re-spline, because they do need to be somehow extended. I hope we can find someone to do that. Well, I decided the swap was too hard. Stock FK8 trains and engine are back in the car with the stock motor mounts. I'm just kidding. Just put all the stuff back in to measure. So I'm gonna measure with everything assembled with the stock engine and trans with the half shaft installed, and then we can go ahead and get the new setup installed and see the difference. Hypothetically speaking, if we make the axle make up that difference, we should be good to go. So on the driver's side, if we come straight through the hub where the axle goes, right to the trans, we are at 23.25. Now I did put the stock FK8 subframe back in so we can have accurate measurements, because of course the CRV subframe was severely bent. So 23.25 on driver's side. Passenger side is coming through all the way to the half shaft. Just a little bit longer, about 23.75. So half-inch difference from left to right on the factory setup. The 24 is back in. Let's see what kind of measurements we get. Before, all stock OEM driver side is 23.25. And now it is 24.75. Okay. So driver 24.75. So we got to go inch and a half longer on the driver's side, and I think the passenger side needs to be shorter. All right, from here to the half shaft. We are at 21, exactly 21. And before it was 23.75. So the passenger side needs to be shortened by 2.75. Wow, that's a lot. Good thing I measured. If I didn't measure and we just re-splined, we'd be screwed. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, is this Donovan?
Yes, it is.
Hey, this is Devin Niemela with Boston.
Yes.
Just calling to let you know that we had a massive problem with your order, and the problem is you forgot to give us your wheel specs, because you are the winner of the wheel giveaway.
No, you're playing.
No, bro, it's you. You are the winner.
Nah, stop capping. You're capping, bro. Oh, that is awesome.
I was just on your page. It looks like you have a rally art.
Lancer, yes.
Lancer.
But I'm eventually building an Evo.
That's awesome, dude. Well, let me know what spec you want, what color you want, what lug pattern you want, all that good stuff, and I'll get some ordered up.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'll send it right over.
Heck yes, dude. I'm excited for you, man.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I appreciate you supporting.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we've gotten every drop you've dropped, so
That's awesome.
A lot.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you for the support.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, just shoot me a DM and we'll get these ordered up.
All right, got it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Bye. Both axle shafts marked to what length they need to be and what they need to be splined to. Gonna go ahead and ship these out. Glad we got that figured out now, because that's probably gonna be something we're waiting on. All right, so everything up front is nearly figured out. engine, trans, and transfer case with the sting rack and subframe. That's all sorted. Control arms and axles are now sorted. My plan is to get everything done up front and then slowly work my way to the back. Actually, I guess there's not a slow way to do it. You just go to the back. One thing I want to do before we do move on to the back side of the car, of course, we have the rear diff, we have rear axles, we have a drive line, we have all that good stuff back there. I do want to go ahead and get the front clip on and get an intake manifold on it just to make sure everything clears like it should. I'm a little bit worried about running exhaust. I haven't really decided what we want to do there yet. I think our turbo is going to sit right up in here. And yes, of course, we are putting a turbo on the car. I did see a few questions about that. Turbo is going to sit right up in here. I think a factory, like a typical Sidewinder manifold, puts the turbo right about here. So we may have to do something there or just get a custom manifold made. But let's go ahead and set on the entire front clip. And I have a couple different intake manifolds here that we can set on the motor and just make sure everything clears like it should. I know it will, so let's be honest. I just want to see how cool it looks. One of the intake manifolds that I have doesn't clear this idler here, or the tensioner, so we're gonna go with, I think it's called the EP3 idler setup, or something along those lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this off right now. All right, let's toss on the clip. All right, looks like it fits quite well. Now let's check out some intake manifold options. So this first one I got just for mock-up. This is a RSX manifold. If I was gonna go with an OEM manifold, of course it'd be the RBC manifold. But there's that. Plenty of clearance at the core support, as you can see, but a factory manifold doesn't really look that pretty, but it fits. Now here's another option. Shout out to Mr. Remy STI for letting me borrow this. I might have to just steal it because it's beautiful. I think this is actually Bader's old manifold, and it hits everything. It would fit if that wasn't in the way. So we would have to do some sort of relocation for the alternator. Of course, we're not going to be running power steering because it's electric power steering, so we don't need the power steering pump mount. AC, I don't even want to discuss that yet because you guys would laugh. Damn, I really want to see how that looks. It's pretty close to the core support, but a little bit of trimming on the core support wouldn't really be a big deal because obviously when this thing moves and flexes, it would hit just a little bit. Or we could ditch the spacer that he has on here. Let's go ahead and throw a bolt in here so she don't fall. Without the spacer, it's like 1.5 inch spacer, it looks like. It would definitely clear just fine. All right, yeah, that would clear perfectly without the spacer. And that looks freaking beautiful. Imagine the big old turbo right here. Let's just grab a turbo and set it there for fun. What do I got up here? Looks like a 6.4 right here. This is probably what is gonna actually go on the car. 6466, 82 AR, something like that. I don't know. I think the best fit would be like that. Beautiful. I'm cool with that. But of course, to put it wherever we want, that's a custom manifold. Well, friends, I'm gonna call that a wrap on today. One last look at this beautiful engine bay. Absolutely love how it's coming out. We got a lot of work to do, but I feel like we're making some pretty insane progress on the car for being a first-time swap that I've ever done. Drop a comment below, let me know what you guys think. Tomorrow we should hopefully be able to move on to the back end of the car and start getting some stuff situated back there. I kind of have a rough idea of what we're gonna do, but things could always change. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out, and I'll see you boys tomorrow.